For anyone out there who is going through trials and tribulations of any kind, struggles, always keep in mind that God is on your side and that He is looking out for you. And no matter how bad it seems, as long as you don't give up, it will get better. As long as you keep a positive outlook, positive things will happen for you. My name is Patricia Wardle, and I would like to tell you a little bit about myself. When I was a young person, I was an only child of 2 older parents. At age 12, I started high school. Early in November that year, I picked up what we thought was a flu, and I wasn't feeling a bit well. On the Friday of the second week that I was off school, Mom went into my bedroom to wake me up, and she couldn't wake me up. I was in a coma. I was taken into the hospital, and I spent several weeks in a coma. Finally, they started doing spinal taps because they realized that my brain seemed to be swelling. It took 4 months before the diagnosis finally came through, and in that 4 months, I became quite violently ill. Doctors told my parents that I was paralyzed from the neck down, that I was blind, that I would never walk or see again, and that I would remain a senseless idiot for the rest of my life and would probably remain in a vegetative state. They also suggested that my parents forget they had a daughter, since I would never recover even if I lived, and that they should go on with their lives and institutionalize me, because my life was over. Because I was the only daughter they were ever going to have, they were now in their 50s, middle 50s, they were not going to give up on me. It took them until February to come up with a diagnosis. In February, the diagnosis was tubercular meningitis. To my knowledge, I am the only person who has ever survived it and come back from it to lead anything akin to a normal life. Towards the middle of August, they started trying getting me up and walking a little bit, just short distances. But it was amazing that there was some strength in my legs and that I was able to walk for short distances. I was using 2 CP canes, but still I was walking. And given that we'd been told that I would never walk again, that was quite a positive step. So I was demitted from the hospital at the end of November, albeit I was walking on 2 CP canes, but by God, I walked out by myself. It took me 6 years to complete grade 12 and 13. I failed numerous subjects along the way, had to go back and take them over again. But at the end of 6 years, I had managed to get marks high enough that I could get access to McMaster University. So I went to McMaster University at the end of 6 years when I graduated from high school. By Christmas, I hadn't passed a single exam. At that point, I was absolutely devastated, and I tried to kill myself. I figured there was no hope. If I couldn't do university, and I couldn't even do teacher's college successfully, what hope was there for me? So I tried to kill myself. My life was over from my perspective. As a result of that, I ended up in the Hamilton Psychiatric Hospital. I was there for 6 weeks before I finally got to see a doctor. And I thought, I have got to somehow prove to this doctor that I don't belong here. But anyway, I got to see the doctor, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to convince him that I was okay. So I walked into the room, and he's sitting there at a desk, and he's got papers strewn out in front of him. And I sat down, and I was really nervous. And I thought to myself, be careful what you say. And so he looked at me, and he says, I have a question for you. And I said, yes. And he says, do you think you belong in here? And I said to him, not now. And he said, I don't think you ever did. So I went back to Teachers College to do the 1-year course the second time. The second time through, I had straight A's in everything. I thought because I was disabled and had fought my own disabilities and been as successful as I had been, perhaps I would have a knack with working with special ed kids who had disabilities. I spent the next 19 years working in special ed. Working with special kids was really the highlight of my career and the best thing I could have done. I took my specialist in special ed, and I ended up starting a master's degree and got a master's degree in special education. One of the things that I have been doing during my retirement is writing a book about the story of my life. I'm hoping that the book will get published in the not too distant future. And I'm hoping that it will be an inspiration to anyone who is struggling with any kind of a disability or is just plain discouraged about their lives. I can honestly say that I am the luckiest person on the face of the earth. I have had a wonderful life. I own my own home. I am totally independent. And I have a good pension now. I've been retired since I was 54. I am now 72. I am still active. I have now been declared legally blind, which meant I had to give up driving. Yes, I did drive a car. But I've had the most wonderful life. I'm the luckiest person on earth because I found my calling. And I firmly believe that if you believe in something, that will carry you home. And what I mean by that, I believed early on that after I got over the business of being so suicidal, I believed that God had something in mind for me. I couldn't believe that what had happened, that had given me all those disabilities, could possibly have happened for no reason. And I believe that God had something in mind for me that He wanted me to do.